Welcome back to another What If. Today, our What If is going to be what if Deku was trained by the Dark Knight Batman. Well, hope you guys like and subscribe. I'm sorry I haven't been posting that much, but I am officially back. And let's get started. Our story will start off when Izuku was 10 years old, 5 years before My Hero Season 1. Deku will be helping his mother set up the table and waiting for Hisashi Midori to return home. His father was working overseas and it's been hard for him to come back, but now he's promised months and months that he's gonna return, and this was the day. But on that same day, it seems like Hisashi, he didn't come back. Deku felt like this was his problem. It was his fault. The reason why his own father doesn't even want to see him. He just gave up. He went to his room and watched some hero clips on YouTube. His mom, he put Hisashi's food on the leftover box, keeping it in the fridge. She wiped her tears and then soon turned on the television to watch the latest news. It was the Batman. He saved over 100 people from an explosion. She turned off the TV later on, go into her room to sleep, maybe even to cry to sleep. But Deku, he just watched hero clips. The only thing that could comfort him at that time. He felt all alone, but really and truly, heroes helped him to manage with his emotions. Meanwhile, in the Batcave, Bruce Wayne would watch a display of all his sidekicks' costume. He would soon shed a tear and smile, as each and every one of them have grown up and left him. They are all protecting their own cities. But then his smile also turned into a worry. Bruce thought to himself that if he asked one of his old sidekicks to become, let's say, Batman, they'll probably say no. He's really awesome. Each and every one of them would say no. It's too much weight to carry. Even to protect Gotham, it's hard. It's impossible. It's like asking to go to hell. You'll instantly refuse. It's too hard and too hot. And Bruce, he would think to himself, maybe he failed somewhere. Maybe he wasn't the smartest man in the world. Maybe he had some flaw that was in his game plan. But then he thought to himself, just maybe he needs to train someone to protect Gotham, not to become his Robin, but to protect Gotham, and maybe settle his eyes on retirement. We flash to 11 months later. Deku's mother had passed away from a cardiac arrest from heartbreak. She felt that because Hisashi was gone for so long, for many, many years and not returning, promising, almost shattering her heart so many times, that she just soon gave up on the hope of him coming back to her, for her knight to save her. She went through this depression hole. Home was not so great for Deku. She just relied on Bakugo's mother to care about him after school. She got drunk. She started doing drugs. It was bad. It was bad enough. So one day, she was going home. She collapsed of a cardiac arrest attack. But meanwhile, in the funeral, Deku's blaming himself. He's blaming that he was not even that loved, that his mother didn't even hold on to his love. Instead, she loved onto his deadbeat father, who never even cared, who never even attended the funeral. 5 whole years later would pass, and now we are currently at episode 1 of My Hero Academia. The story will play out similar to the original, but this time Deku would exit school around nighttime the time where Batman mostly is active. Izuku would walk to the orphanage as he would enter his room. This one is different. Instead of Izuku getting stopped at the tunnel, he would get stopped at the orphanage, making the plot even more intriguing. Izuku would write in his journal on his table about the superhero climax he saw in the morning. He was intrigued. He liked this. This helped him mentally after his mother's pass. Heroes helped him. It was around midnight. The rain was hidden against his window. It was time for all of them to go to bed. And Deku, he wasn't tired. He was always the odd one out of everyone. Not even just for him being reckless. It was just for him just being more depressed than others. Everyone's light was turned off and they were asleep. Deku was the only one with his light on. Deku, he continued writing his journal. He didn't care. At this point, it was the anniversary of his mother's death. Nothing worse could ever happen to him instead of this day. So he wouldn't care about all the punishments they would give him for even just staying up a little longer. Deku would continue writing till he saw a picture of his mother on his counter. He would smile and rub the face of his mother that he can't even rub anymore. He would gently put it back down. He would continue writing until he heard a few slimy noises coming from his ventilation system. It seemed like this green goo started oozing towards him. He didn't know what to do. He started to panic, started to scream, but once he was about to scream, it latched onto his mouth. It turned into a big slime. It was a villain that probably just escaped from prison, or just escaped from doing a theft, or even a murder. Deku was panicking. He couldn't breathe. He was getting suffocated. He was begging, patting the guy just to let him go. Deku's eyes started to close on him. It seemed like it was endgame. He was gonna die on the same day his mother died, them years ago. But then, his room's light turned off. Smoke started appearing from nowhere. Then, from the darkness, there appeared the Dark Knight. Batman would attack the slime whilst Deku was asleep. We don't know how, or we don't know what he used, but somehow Bruce managed a way to freeze the slime and put his particles, after breaking him into many pieces, into a jar he found in Deku's room. He then put it in his utility belt as he picked up Deku and laid him on his bed. And a few moments later, Deku started to be aware of his surroundings and woke up. He was in a sudden shock. He started gasping for air. Bruce was there. He was watching the young boy realize that one of his favorite idols was right there in his room, watching him. Deku, he started to panic. He didn't realize that one of his favorite heroes, the world's greatest detective, was right there, right in front of him, and who saved his life. Batman would ask the kid, "Are you alright?" Deku would respond, yes, repeatedly. He was ecstatic, he was hyper, he was happy. He didn't want to blow Batman's cover, as he would want the conversation to last long. He would start asking Batman a few questions on how did he get his gadgets, who are you under the mask, are you a vigilante or are you a hero? He was asking all these personal questions to Batman. Batman refused to say some, but he did say some that are not to do with his identity. Batman would start collecting the slime villain, as he would have made that slime villain turn into ice. As he would have broken him down into mini pieces, putting his little particles inside his utility belt in minus 20 degrees to keep it nice temperature for the villain to not melt and come back to slime and probably attack him. Batman would soon get a mission alert on a small bank robbery up in downtown. Batman would tell the kid in an intimidating voice that he has to go. He would try climb through Deku's window and reach the roof. Then he was ready to grapple hook away from the orphanage. But as soon as he was about to do that, Deku also climbed through the window as well. He would have reached the roof by a bare minimum. He would have helped Deku reach the roof and told the kid to go sleep. Look at the time, it's midnight. And you also got attacked. Deku would look down, embarrassed and ashamed, and look like a child who's done something bad. But this was not gonna let go of what Deku truly wanted to do. Deku went on his knees and begged Batman if it's possible for someone as quirkless as him, someone as weak as him, someone skinny, fragile, to ever become a hero. Is it possible? Batman simply just said no. This shattered Deku's heart. Deku's eyes was bulged in tears. He looked back at Batman. Batman didn't have no emotion at all towards Deku. He didn't have any sympathy. It was the truth. Batman might have been this quirkless hero, but he had the training, he had the effort, he had the mind of a hero. He doesn't know this kid at all. He doesn't even know if this kid has the mind of a hero, or does he have the ability. He just said simply to him, there's not all heroes wear capes. You can also become a police officer, a firefighter. And then he'll tell the kid that you're not cut out for the hero life. Too much weight on your shoulders. It's good to be quirkless. You gotta live a normal life. But if you really want to help, you can do local service to help your area. This even hurt Deku's dreams even more and more. It was like cutting something and going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. Batman would say, just go bed, kid. Maybe tomorrow you'll understand when you wake up. He'd grapple hook to another building and he would vanish into thin air. Deku would look up, seeing nothing, as his eyes were covered in his own tears. He wiped them as he would try climb back into his window from the roof. As he went onto his bed and cried, as he couldn't sleep, as his dream was basically gone, just like that. During this, Batman would have arrived at the crime scene as he would fight off the thugs, and he would get tag team pretty well. As he was old, he didn't have that much stamina in him to last long. He got hit in the side pretty much of the fight by a baseball bat and a crowbar, as that was the main primary weapons the thugs were using at that moment. One of the thugs hit him very too low, hitting his utility belt, making the particles of the slime villain hit onto the ground, as it would soon send him back to its liquid form, as it would form back to its normal slime self, as this was more of a challenge for Bruce to fight off. The thugs would have run away from the slime as it was more threatening than the Batman. The Batman would be sort of beat up from the thugs. He would look at the slime as he was already tired, as the slime villain would toss Batman away, hitting him flying into a car, as Batman would be knocked out, sleeping on the floor, as he was sort of just broken. Batman was coughing up blood. He couldn't get back up. It was impossible. It felt like his spine was broken. He just stayed there, laying as his eyes were on the ground, gazing at what he could see and what he couldn't. He could only see the slime monster hit civilians, throwing them around like they were ragdolls. It would start hitting buildings and cars, causing explosions left, right, and center. It was horrible. He thought to himself all the pain, all the suffering he's made in the world, all the people he saved. He started to regret everything, all the life decisions he's made. He started to recap in his life, all the bad decisions he ever made. Batman thought this was the end of him, the end of Batman. But hopefully, maybe someone could save him here. Deku would quickly go onto his phone as he would see his notifications from all the hero YouTube channels, Twitter accounts that he follows all start texting, "Is the Batman dead? Did Batman just die? What's going on?" He would start to panic. It was like, what the hell's going on? Just a few moments ago he was here. He was panicking. He was walking up and down with pace. He started thinking to himself, what the hell's going on? He started seeing leaked videos of Batman on the ground bleeding out. He started thinking to himself, who is his villain and what's going on? And where are the rest of the heroes? And majority of all the heroes, they don't work night shifts. They mostly come at day, as day is more dangerous than night in Japan and in Gotham. So Deku, he would think to himself, maybe this is my one shot. Maybe to help Batman as he helped me. Maybe it's that slime guy. Maybe he escaped. He started connecting the dots as he saw some bits of slime on Batman's body from the Twitter video that's been spreading around on the internet very fast. Deku would grab his coat and exit the orphanage secretly. He would quickly get a bus to the city as he would see the massive crowds of people watching the villain cause chaos from the sidelines as the police barricaded the road the slime villain was at. The slime villain was just causing explosions. Deku would soon go through the crowd as he wanted to check up on Batman, as Batman checked up on him, as he was knocked out cold from the slime villain earlier. Deku felt worried for Batman after seeing that Twitter gruesome video of the Batman badly injured. He felt like this could be the end of one of his favorite heroes. As much as the Batman broke his heart that day, he still saved him. Deku seems to want to avenge Batman. He doesn't want to impress him to make him his sidekick. He wants to have the heart of a hero, to actually help Batman. Not trying to gain anything from it, but maybe just earning it. Deku would jump off from the barricades as he would push the police aside as he would run into the large flames of the street. He would run to Batman as he would grab Batman, pulling him with all his weight, carrying him, trying to get closer to the barricade, but the slime villain would not have it. The slime villain would toss Deku and Bruce aside, hitting the ground again. Deku would start bleeding from his side. He would soon get back up. He still had this fight in him. He started to drag Batman with all his strength. Batman was a bigger man than him, so he was only dragging Bruce by a little. Bruce saw the kid, the same green hair boy from earlier, pulling him. He smiled as he would get up, just to tell the kid, "Kid, I got this. Stand behind that car right now. You're about to see what I did to this man earlier." Bruce would smile as it would go into a serious tone as he looked at the slime villain. Batman would start to run at the slime villain as he parkoured his way through cars, dodging all the slime man's attacks. He would throw a few batarangs at the sludge villain's eyes, making the sludge villain's eyes bleed out. He would soon use all his power and all his strength to punch the sides of the slime villain. It didn't hurt that much, but it pinched him. But Batman, he didn't stop there. This man was quick with it. He dodged all the attacks. He had enough with the sludge villain. The whole entire day was just a bad day for him. Batman started to use one of his gadgets from one of his last villains with Mr. Freeze, as he freezed half of the sludge villain's legs as he would sweep the legs, smashing them like glass. The sludge villain would scream in pain as the people started chanting Batman's name. Izuku was amazed by what Batman can do without a quirk. This is his first time seeing Batman in action. He was impressed. Each time Batman punched the sludge villain's face, the sludge villain got weaker and weaker. It seemed that each blow Batman gave to him, it was stronger and stronger, and it was never stopping. Batman had enough. He had a bad day, so he was putting his anger on the sludge villain. From the side of Batman's utility belt, he grabbed a hold of an explosive as he would punch the inside of the sludge villain's body as he would kick it away from him. He would press the activate button as it would blow up right in front of everyone, causing a whole shockwave and a whole burst of fire gushing out on everyone's faces. But it didn't harm any humans, it only hurt the slime. The slime villain was everywhere. All his pieces were scattered around, and it was too hard for its cells to come back together. It would have taken years of recovery, but the slime villain was still alive. As Batman was covered in slime, he wiped himself a bit as the crowd started cheering as a hero protected them once again from a big threat. Deku started cheering. He lost his phone mid-fight, but he didn't care. It was an experience of a lifetime coming, and also helping the Batman come get a victory. Suddenly, helicopters, police started coming to arrest the slime. Batman didn't like asking a few questions, so he grapple hooked away as he left Deku there. Deku was a bit kind of upset that the man left him. He thought he was gonna get praise, but it is what it is. That's what Deku said to himself. As he waited for the bus home, a strange figure from behind him told him to go to the alley. Deku was not sure of this, but he ended up wanting to go. He was curious, and it sounded like Batman, so he went. The man appeared out from the alley. It was Batman. He said he was impressed with Deku and his bravery. He is something Batman hasn't had in a long time, since Batman was in his prime, and that was like 15 years ago. Deku impressed Batman. He made Batman proud. Then Batman started speaking about what Deku said earlier. If he could become a hero as well. Then Batman tells him the good news. The same news All Might gave him. He said to Deku, "Young man, maybe you can become a hero someday, and I'll train you." And Deku started breaking down and crying. This was Deku's dream. As much as he's not gonna get a quirk, he's gonna be trained by the best man of his own type of species to ever do the hero life. Nothing was stopping Deku for pleading yes and yes and yes repeatedly. And this, my friends, was the origin story of Izuku Midoriya getting trained by the Dark Knight. Hope you guys liked this video, subscribe, and see you guys on the next video.